I'm Danielle, your host of the Abridged to Motherhood podcast, the place where moms like you learn to thrive, not just survive through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I'm a birth and postpartum doula and a mom of two who's been where you are. My first pregnancy was filled with so much excitement, but it was also marked by stress, anxiety, and fear of the unknown. I thought I had everything mapped out, but when postpartum hit, I realized how unprepared I was for the physical, emotional, and mental toll of motherhood. It was overwhelming, lonely, and nothing like I imagined. When I found out I was pregnant again, I knew I needed to approach things differently. I made it my mission to not only prepare for postpartum, but to prioritize myself in the process. That shift changed everything. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Whether you're navigating your first pregnancy, feeling buried under endless advice, or struggling to figure out what you actually need for postpartum, this podcast is your safe space. You'll find practical tips, honest conversations, and expert insights to help you feel informed, supported, and empowered through every stage of motherhood. If you're ready to feel confident, prepared, and truly supported in your motherhood journey, stick around. This is for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the Abridged to Motherhood podcast. Today we are going to be talking about how to keep your peace in the early days with a newborn. This is something that I'm not going to lie, I struggled with a lot with my first baby. I felt very overwhelmed about figuring out how to care for her needs while caring for my needs, and if any complications arise with your birth or with your baby needing some extra support, whether they're jaundiced, maybe they have a tongue and lip tie, just anything that's maybe out of the norm, it can feel really hard to manage your anxiety and find some peace and calm during that whirlwind time when you're trying to figure out how to be a parent for the first time. When I had my second, even though we experienced many of the same issues and actually more with him and with me having to go back to the hospital with postpartum preeclampsia, even through all of that, I felt so much more peaceful. And I think it really had to do with my mindset. So today we're going to talk a lot about our mindset to help us to manage those overwhelming emotions with those hormonal changes and finding those moments of peace even when we are sleep deprived and trying to care for our newborn and managing our own recovery from giving birth. The first few days and weeks postpartum can feel like such this emotional roller coaster because of those fluctuating hormones, your sleep deprivation. I think what I want to emphasize here is that you are not alone in feeling overwhelmed in those early days. Every new mom is dealing with her hormones fluctuating, being sleep deprived, and managing the demands of her new baby while recovering from birth with a plate-sized wound. It's very normal to feel emotional in those first 2 weeks and feel maybe a little bit disconnected from yourself during that time. If it is lasting longer than that, I would just want to encourage you to reach out to your provider sooner rather than later to just talk about how you're feeling and get that support for your mental health very early on. There is so much pressure that we place on ourselves and then with social media to make us feel like we have to be perfect or have it all together, this whole bounce back culture. And we feel like we have to focus on all of that instead of focusing on our peace. Let's go through some ways that we can prepare our mind before baby arrives and then even in the midst of those early days. What can you do to help yourself find that peace again? So number one, let's talk about embracing imperfections. The first step is accepting that things won't be perfect, and that is okay. Perfect does not exist. Postpartum is messy, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Embrace that chaos and give yourself grace during this time. If the house is messy, if you feel like you're never going to feel like yourself again, you're never going to sleep again, try to remember that this moment is temporary. If we try to fix everything or pretend like you're fine when you're not, it's only going to lead to more emotional turmoil. And trying to be perfect is going to cause more stress and less peace within yourself. So try to acknowledge when you are having that urge for things to be perfect or the way you always like it to be, and then take a deep breath and give yourself permission to let it go. Your priorities have now shifted with the baby, and it's okay that they shift. Again, acknowledge, accept it, breathe through it, and remind yourself that imperfection is okay. Number 2, prioritize your rest and self-care. I will say it again and again. Rest is so important, especially in those first 2 weeks postpartum. The first 6 weeks, your body and mind need time to heal, and rest is key to maintaining that during this time. And it's not just about sleeping. Of course, sleep is super important, but it's also about creating those small moments for yourself, whether that's taking a warm bath, taking 5 minutes to journal, sitting in silence. I remember as a new mom being overstimulated with one baby, add a second into the mix, and there's just so much noise. So when I would get a moment for it to be quiet, I would try to just take that time to enjoy the silence for a minute, breathe deeply, and remind myself that this too shall pass. Number 3, set boundaries and ask for help. I will repeat it again and again. This is not the time to go it alone. Even though we often feel like we need to, it is okay to call on your village. And if you don't have a village, this is going to be so important to figure this out for yourself and for your family. Now, I'm not saying that it is easy by any means. But if you don't have family nearby, if you have no friends nearby, you're going to have to put yourself out there to make those relationships. And so often our friends become our family, and we support each other. Finding other families with young children who get it and who are willing to be there for you can make a huge difference. You're going to maintain your peace so much better when you communicate your needs and set boundaries with your family, friends, visitors. Asking for help is not that sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-awareness. If you need a break, be clear with your partner and say, I need a break. Can you just hang out with the baby so I can take a 20-minute shower in peace? Text a close friend. Tell family members you're not ready for visitors yet because you are trying to rest. Prioritize your peace over any social expectations. You don't need to host people or entertain them when they come to visit you. You should be protecting yourself. And if that means that you are upstairs in the nursery, in the rocking chair, or in your bed so that you can just nurse baby freely, great. People can come up and say hi for a minute. If it's someone you're really close to, they can come upstairs and sit with you on the bed. If you're not close with them, then guess what? They can stay downstairs with your spouse. You protecting your peace is more important, and it's about knowing when to say no or just not right now. Number 4, creating calm rituals or routines for yourself. I love the idea of creating a little ritual for yourself in the mornings, and this can look different for everyone. For me, especially as a new mom, something that I liked to do in the mornings after my baby woke up, that first nursing session, I put on my audio Bible and I listened to my Bible, and I would drink a cup of tea. For somebody else, maybe stretching, maybe you enjoy yoga, so taking that time in the morning to do a few stretches. It could be journaling in the morning, a little ritual to get yourself ready for the day or to wind down at the end of the day. Don't be afraid to step outside and take 5 deep breaths as a ritual or a routine when you're feeling overwhelmed to kind of reset yourself throughout the day. This moment of peace can really help center you for whatever comes next in your day. It's so easy for us to get into that fight or flight mode in postpartum because it feels like we have to rush all the time. The second the baby cries, oh, hurry up and get them changed and feed them. It's okay if you need to use the bathroom for baby to cry for a second so that you can go to the bathroom. Especially if you're by yourself, it's okay. You don't have to constantly feel like you have to rush from one thing to the next and forget to slow down. If we don't carve out intentional moments of stillness, it's just so easy to get swept up in the next task, the next need, and not sitting down to eat a meal, just take care of those basic needs for ourselves. Number 5, mind your expectations and be present. This was something that I learned the hard way as a new mom. I had so many expectations going into motherhood, and a lot of them were probably very unrealistic. So if we can learn to let go of expectations about how we should be feeling or how our baby should be responding or how our baby should be eating or sleeping, or that this should be easy, it just creates so much emotional turmoil. Instead, focus on being present in the moment. Being present is not easy, and you've probably heard of grounding techniques to help keep you present. One of my favorites is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I may have talked about this on another podcast episode. You're using your 5 senses to bring you into that present moment. 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you feel, 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. Anything that can draw you back to the present moment. My counselor once shared with me trying to count the eyelashes on my baby, or trying to match my breathing to my baby's breathing, or if you have a pet, match your breathing to your pet's breathing. Just anything to help you to focus on that particular moment. Try to focus on your unique journey in your postpartum healing and your baby's unique journey, and celebrate the small wins each time they happen, whether it's your first successful nursing session, your baby's first smile. Focus on those things that bring you joy and gratitude. And again, try not to compare yourself to others and creating this ideal version in your head of what you should be like as a new mom, or how quickly you should be bouncing back postpartum. Just adds so much unnecessary pressure and steals that peace that we are so desperately craving. All right, let's review these actionable takeaways from today's podcast. Number 1, accept those imperfections. Let go of the perfection and remind yourself that it's okay to not have everything together. Number 2, set aside time to rest daily. Again, this doesn't have to be sleep, but it could be just taking a quiet moment for yourself. Number 3, set boundaries, whether it's with visitors, tasks, or expectations, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Number 3, create a calming routine or ritual, whether that's a short breathing exercise, whether it's drinking a cup of tea in the morning, anything that helps you feel calm throughout your day. And number 5, focus on being present. There's nothing like focusing on the joy of the moment with your baby and celebrate those little moments because they just go by so fast. I hope today's episode helped you to feel empowered to maintain your peace in those early days and made you realize how important it is to embrace that. Remember, it's all about being kind to yourself and honoring your needs too. You matter as a new mom, and it is important to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your baby. If you are looking for some more ways to navigate your postpartum experience with peace and with ease, I have a free resource that you can download. It's called The New Mom Survival Guide, Preparing for Life with a Newborn. And you can find the link in the show notes or go to abridgetomotherhood.com/newmom. Thanks for tuning in today, and I will talk to you all next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Abridged to Motherhood podcast. I'm so glad you were here today. If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review for the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Share it with a friend or snap a screenshot and tag me on social media. If you decide to leave me a review, go to abridgetomotherhood.com/review. That link is also in the show notes so that I can send you a little gift in the mail. Your support helps other moms to find the podcast, and it truly means the world to me. Remember, your motherhood journey deserves your care and attention. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, mama, and don't worry, I'm here to help every step of the way. See you soon.